I've been mucking out the duck coop all the live long day. Your turn.
I've been mucking out the duck coop just to keep the stink away.
Whoo! Can't you
Yeah.
see the composting?
Turning into really good soil. I don't know.
Can't you see the composting?
It's
And our garden, it will not foil. Okay.
there you go. Yeah.
Hey, everybody. Welcome to Spicy Sisters. Uh,
We are the spicy singing sisters
we
this
are the
month, I
spicy.
guess.
So I
Yeah.
realized that Amy
Yeah.
also makes up songs on the homestead
All
when
the
she's out
time.
and about. Yeah.
All the time. Yeah.
Do your animals have theme songs?
I I have a dog who um I don't much care for. She's kind of a pain in the ass, and I have songs that I sing just specifically to her, and I sing them in a very nice voice, but she knows that I am not happy with her. And so when I start singing her song, which is full of profanity, so I won't sing it here, but oh my word, she's like, "Oh, mom's really mad." So she's the only one that has a theme song, but yes, the rest of them get sung to, but she definitely has a theme song.
My former dog Sage had a song that I
Aw.
sang to her when I was training her because she was so scared of us when she moved in.
Oh, yeah.
And so I sang her song over and over and over,
Yeah.
and it's a stupid so it's like, "Sage is a dog, she's not a cat." Like, it's like words like that.
Yeah.
And it was actually
Aw.
super handy because it if I would sing that to her when she was scared, she'd calm down
Oh, sure.
later in life. And when her
Aw.
final day came, I was singing her song and yeah. So Cece's song is Cece is a good dog. And that's because she was not being a good dog when she moved in. And
Oh,
I was
see?
trying to change her
Mhm.
mind about not being a good dog when she moved after she moved in, but she's a good dog now.
Well, see, the song helped. Music helps, see?
It does. It does.
Yes.
And if you can't burst into song when facing weird stuff that happens on the homestead, like what are you gonna do?
Right.
Yeah.
That's how we handle life.
That is how
It's
we handle life.
turn it all into a musical and everything is great.
So I have a bone to pick with you, Amy.
Uh-oh. What
How
did I
much
do?
is your newsletter a year?
How much is my newsletter a year? For US friends, it is $40, and for outside of the US friends, $50.
How dare you charge $40 for a newsletter that you mail out 12 times
I
a
know.
year? How dare you do that?
How dare I do that, right?
Let's talk
It's
about that.
it's like there's costs involved, and you wanna make a little bit for your time, because it does take time to do that. It's funny to me how it almost feels like the internet, um, and just having all these platforms where we can put stuff out there, it's almost made it so we're not supposed to charge anything for everything that we're doing. And I
Yeah,
I I think it's funny because when I was so if we just take writing, for instance, when I was doing that 20 years ago, I was getting paid for every single thing I was doing. Every
right.
single piece of writing that I was doing, I was getting paid for it. And then blogs became a thing and social media became a thing and everybody started being able to put their words everywhere. And now suddenly it became harder to get paid for all the words that you were writing. So it's been an interesting flip flop. It's awesome to have all the platforms, and that's great because then people can get their work out there. But man, does it make it tricky to ask for money for the things you're doing? Have you seen the same thing?
Oh, yeah. Jen wants
Oh,
to know
yeah.
if she can get it mailed via carrier pigeon for an extra fee, I assume.
That would be so cool. If I could set that up, man, yes, yes.
Yeah, I get so, in particular, event tickets, I get
Yeah,
nailed on those all the time. Like, the
yeah,
people who come to the events are usually fine.
mhm,
It's the people who are probably never gonna buy a ticket. They'll like, my
yeah,
spring workshop's in 2 weeks, and I had one person cancel. So I have a ticket that I could transfer, like, it's
yeah,
$500 for the whole event. You've been to the event. You
yep,
you know what goes into that.
yep.
It's a great event. It's worth $500.
It's an awesome event.
It's probably worth $1,000 what we do here, but I charge $500. And when people see that, I get the how dare you charge all that money for the knowledge that you're teaching and we're trying, like you should
Right,
just give it away. It should be free. I
right,
can go to any other, I can go to random and they'll like they'll mention some homesteading trade show that where the tickets are $25 to get in. The
Yeah.
reason they're $25 to get in is usually because they either have a lot of sponsors or it's a trade show. So it's a whole bunch of people selling stuff. So once you
Right.
get in, you buy everything.
Right.
Right.
That
It's
is true.
not completely different than what I'm doing here.
Absolutely. And the food alone, my gosh, the food that you have, it's just
Yeah.
everything you served was so amazing. It's such a cool experience. And yeah, I don't know.
Yeah. Well, I mean, we feed people mostly what we've grown here or we can
Yeah.
source locally. I'm actually sitting down with Chef today, I believe, after this to go over the menu because
Yeah.
I set up a menu, but I was like, well, Chef's available. He might have some interesting twists on it.
For sure.
So he's
Yeah.
going to come out and do some stuff. But
Mhm.
he figured out a really cool recipe for Salisbury steak and
Yeah.
the gravy for because a lot of our people are keto, it's thickened with
Mhm.
mushroom powder.
Mm.
And it's delicious.
It sounds horrible.
It's so good. And I've got all this like locally sourced beef that we will turn into those. Yeah, that's going to be one of the things for sure.
Yeah. Yeah. That sounds amazing.
Yeah. So I used to get kind of upset by the people who have to snark on price.
Yeah.
And then I was kind of talking to John Willis and he's like, Nicole, those people were never going to come anyway. They were never going to make it happen. They're just using it as an excuse for themselves to not do the thing.
Yeah.
And in doing so, they don't go anywhere. And how sad is that?
That's probably true for most of the people, I would say, because some people just need something to crab about, and that's an easy thing to crab about. I also think there's something to it when there's now there's so many things that you can go to, and so you can't always go to Living Free in Tennessee. You can't always go, because you need to spread that awesome around. But yeah, it's a tricky thing. There's like a flip side to this. So, I talk about, everything that I do now, a lot of it I do for free because it's the internet. And, 20 years ago, I would have been paid for all that. But I think there's something different in now that because we're online and because that's where the majority of our business is, it's almost, I've realized we give people almost 24/7 access to us.
Yeah.
And that's something that was not a thing before.
No.
You didn't have access to your favorite author. You didn't have access to your favorite, that was not a thing. And so I almost think that plays into it too, sometimes where I can get all this information online for free, or I can find it elsewhere because everybody has given 24/7 access to everything they're doing. So I think that also plays into why it can be a little trickier to say, yeah, I'm going to charge for this.
Yeah. Yeah. I think we have to start charging for things though.
Oh yeah.
And that's where, like my podcast is going to be free. It's a free thing that I do.
Yeah.
And that is what it is. But I am in the process of changing what the membership looks like at Living Free in Tennessee. And that's already paid. But there's going to be more stuff behind the paywall.
Yeah.
And that's for a subset of listeners who enjoy what we're doing here and want to support the show, want to get involved in that part of the community. And I think I bring a lot of value in the shows I do every week for free.
For sure.
And people can just listen to those for the rest of their lives and get like all sorts of information. So
yeah,
I don't know. It's kind of weird, but it is an interesting thing. What besides your newsletter, what have people harped on you about dairy to get paid for? Anything?
Geez, that should be an obvious answer, but I'm so stuck on the newsletter right now, I think, because that's, what I spend a lot of time doing.
Yeah.
But you even hear it like my kids, as musicians trying to make money. It's, well, we can pay you in experience. We can pay you in, we'll make a Facebook post about what you're doing. And they're like, that doesn't pay rent. That doesn't pay bills. It's that there's almost this disconnect of if it's something I can find on the internet, that it should just be there because so many other people have just put their stuff there.
Yeah.
And I think it would be interesting if everybody started charging for their stuff, like, if that was the norm that,
Yeah.
we charge for that, because I think Aaron in here somewhere said if you're not active, then people get mad. I saw that. And I don't know if that's, if you're not putting stuff out there all the time, people are
Yeah.
like, "Where's the stuff? Where's the stuff?" Like, come on, now you're only doing, because I went down to one podcast a week and I had people that were like, "Come on, you were doing 2 and 3 and 4 podcasts a week for a while there." And I'm like, "Well, I can't do that right now." But then they get mad, Well, it takes time. Hello. Like, and it's free. Like, you're not paying for it. So it's
Yeah.
just so odd, the whole culture around that. It's really interesting if you it's frustrating if you think about it too much, but,
Yeah,
I don't
and
know.
and that is weird too, like, people think some people, I would say most of my listeners don't do this to me at all, actually. But some people feel like they deserve to know every little thing
Oh, sure.
that's happening, and I should, like, somehow be live streaming that, and I'm like,
Right.
"Eh."
This is actually my life. You don't get to know everything. You don't
Right,
get to
I
know
have some boundaries, so
everything.
let's talk about
Boundaries.
boundaries.
There you go. Let's talk about that.
I just, like, segued straight. I was like, it was on my list of things I should bring up, but
That was
yeah.
the best segue. Perfect.
Yeah.
So,
So, boundaries.
are you having issues with boundaries?
Yes.
Are you?
Yeah, are
Tell
you?
me about that. Tell me about that. I think you hit the nail on the head. Um, it's that whole thing about I wanna know, and it's cool that people wanna know about your life, that, they're
Yeah.
engaged with you and all that, but there's that weird thing where you're like, "Okay, this is my life that I'm talking about. This isn't a show that I'm making that's something I'm making up, like, this legit is my life," and there has to be a part there where it's
Yeah.
like, "Okay, nope, you don't get to know this," and that should be okay. It's yeah.
Most of my boundary issues revolve around people wanting my help with their things
Mm,
or wanting me to come speak at their thing
mhm.
for free.
Mhm.
And I'm trying to think. So I had somebody at SRF ask me to help them figure out their Trezor wallet and offered to pay me. I don't think that is a boundary issue.
Mm.
Um, they emailed me after SRF. I didn't answer it for a week because I basically didn't look for an
You were
email
like,
at my
"No."
email for a week after that.
Right.
And they had sent a second email saying, "Oh my goodness, I listened to your podcast and heard all of the things that you do, and I can't believe you didn't punch me in the nose for asking for your help with this Trezor thing." And I was like, well, the way that person asked me was very kind. "Hey,
Mhm.
I hear you know how to do this. Would you be willing to help me? I'll pay you." And I'm like, "I probably don't need you to pay me because it will probably take us 5 minutes."
Right.
Oh, and they're willing to come to me. They're not asking me to travel to Montana or something
Right.
to do this thing. And it's not really in my wheelhouse, but I also want to empower people who have cryptocurrency to learn how to properly secure it. And so I usually will send people to like John Bush's. He has some cryptocurrency like how-to
Mhm.
classes at Live Free Academy. But in this case, I was like, it's not going to take that long, whatever. And I wrote her back. I was like, "Oh no, you were fine. I just didn't look at email for a week because I had to not look at email for a week.
I was in
I'm still
recovery.
I'm still catching up on post Self-Reliance Festival
Oh,
emails
sure.
because then now they're lost in my inbox. So I'm just doing what I do. It's like I'll do 2 hours of email and another month of email is handled and then I stop. And that's a boundary for me. And that means I'm slow to answer email sometimes. And so the most pushback I get is I do tell people email is the best way to reach me. I do tell them I'm going to be slow to answer email, very likely. And then I have people get really mad about that. And I'm like, listen, I have a limited number of hours in the day and I'm
Right.
trying my best. I did have a personal assistant for a while. I don't have that. I don't have a team. I don't have a marketing team. I don't have a sales team. I don't have a
Right.
tech support team, like any of those things. So that's been where I get the biggest push. And then the speaking thing, that's the second biggest one where, I actually had another great conversation today. "Hey, Nicole, could you speak at this thing?" And I said, "Well, I've already accepted a deposit for a different event that weekend. So maybe in the future." And they said, "Great." And I said, "Also, if you reach me via email, I'm more fast," because it was on one of the social networks. "I'm more fast to answer. So maybe use my email for that." And
Yeah.
it's just scheduling in advance. I have had that, and then I have other ones where it's like, will you come to, I'm going to make up a location, Stuttgart, Germany,
Yeah.
on your dime,
Mhm.
speak to a group of 15 people to
Yep.
50 people,
Yep.
and we're not going to pay you or reimburse any expenses or help with lodging or anything.
Right.
And what I'm like, well, I mean, I understand needing to keep the budget of the event. Like a lot of our speakers at SRF, in fact, do not charge us money because they're getting value a different way. But at the same time, if it's like, what's the value proposition here for me? And
Right.
that's really far from here.
Right.
And so, like, how many of those can anybody do in a
Yeah.
month? And then when people get mad at me about that, I'm like, well, like, I actually do want to be home on my homestead sometimes too.
Right. But how dare you ask them to pay you for that?
Yeah.
How dare
Yeah.
you? These conversations go so well together, right? The
Yeah.
money and the boundaries. It's like,
Yeah,
yeah.
it's
Yeah.
interesting.
Yeah.
And, as I said, I do a few speaking engagements a year that are unpaid. And it is with the intention of helping communities who are doing that, but I have a limited number of those.
Right. Right.
And I like those are booked very well far in advance too.
Mhm.
So anyway, and I appreciate that I'm being completely hypocritical based on the number of speakers who come to Self-Reliance Festival and don't charge me anything, or to my spring workshop, So I appreciate that too. So maybe I'm complaining about the wrong thing. I don't even know, but I'm trying to figure out that culture a little
Right.
better.
Right. What I think is funny, you mentioned, you don't have a personal assistant, you don't have a team or anything like that, and people are sometimes, upset that you don't email back right away. I think what's funny is people like the idea of you not having a team. People like the idea of me not having a team. They like the idea that when they email, it is Nicole or it is Amy that emails them back. But then some people don't realize that means you're going to wait. That means we might miss your email, like, because there's only so many hours in a day. And there's so much. Oh, it's so amazing. You're doing all this stuff. Now email me back.
Yeah.
I don't know.
And the emails that they're most likely to be slow rollers it's a hard question for me to answer.
Yeah.
So if it's like, do you like red or blue? And I'm like, red.
Right.
That gets just as like answered. And it's, if it's like, what is your process for keeping squash vine borers from taking over your squash through the use of nematodes, and where do you source those? Those questions I try to answer as best I can, but they're not a fast answer. Those are the ones most likely to get lost. And then the other thing, I actually appreciate it when people do this. Hey, I emailed you 3 weeks ago.
Yes.
I haven't heard back, just checking in.
Yes.
That is not a boundary problem.
No.
That is awesome. I'm like, oh yeah, sorry.
Right. Because it was probably a question I had to think about, and it got lost between the 47 other emails that just came in. And so, yes, email and say, hey, just checking. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. Yep. So anyway, I don't know. It's an interesting balancing act, I think.
It is.
And that's where I don't know what to say. It's because other people are like, we want to see this part of your life or that part of your life, or I don't know, you need to do this or you need to do that. Erin's actually saying it's other content creators making it seem like I'm not doing it all. I'm like, yeah. I have been pretty crappy on TikTok.
It goes in phases. I get really excited about TikTok and all that, and I do it a lot for a couple weeks, and then I'm like, no, for a couple weeks.
Yeah. I haven't been TikToking for months now.
Wow.
There's like the occasional talk.
Yeah.
Happens. And all I'm hearing from other content creators is how much traction they're getting on TikTok and how much I need to, and I'm like,
yeah.
I go to bed really tired every day. And I
know
uploading that video is only like, I don't know, 30 seconds to 5 minutes, depending on my internet.
Yeah.
But at the time, I'm like, I don't have one more 5 minutes is in me. Yeah. Like, how do you manage that?
How do I manage that?
Yeah, like, how do you choose what you're gonna put your time in on? Because it's like TikTok, Instagram, Facebook, MeWe, Telegram, Nostr now, All of the things.
I think for me, it's what I've had to try and figure out is the ones that I actually like.
Yeah.
And that's where I go. Like, there are people who love Instagram. I don't like Instagram. It's not I don't like Instagram, and I don't get a lot of traction from Instagram, so I think when you get to a certain point, you have to be like, "All right, I have enough time to do how many things? These are the ones that I'm gonna focus on." And maybe you focus on them for a while and see how it goes, and then,
Yeah.
2 months later, you pick 4 other things you're gonna focus on, but, yeah, I think different things like that work for different people, and I don't know. I know people that are like, "Oh, you have to do more Instagram. You have to do Instagram Reels," and I'm telling you what, it just don't work for me. So,
I did Facebook
yeah.
Reels, and
Yeah,
Sula Priest reached out to me and helped me kind of build it,
yeah,
and it was going in a good direction. And I was like, I hate doing Reels. I
yeah,
100% hate doing Reels. And I was like, okay, I guess I'm not going to do Reels. And that's short form video, right? So
yep,
TikTok, you asked me if I like it.
yeah,
Sometimes I actually like watching other people on
yeah,
TikTok more than creating content for TikTok.
yeah.
Like the shows I like, so the TikToks I like the most are people who are either narrating while they watch somebody cook some bullshit.
Yeah.
But he's so creative. That lady, I don't even know if you've seen her. Like the one I saw this morning, I actually watched it. The person took a steak and took butter, a whole stick of butter, and squished it on the steak, like spread it like frosting,
Yeah.
turned it
Oh
over,
my gosh.
did it again with their fingers, and they're all like, fists of
Yeah,
butter, and they
yeah.
put it in a frying pan. And of course, the butter melted.
Yes.
And then they flipped the
Yes.
steak and took another stick of butter and squished it on the steak. She's like,
Wow.
she said, the lady narrating behind that going down, she's like, you can't get your extra butter from Aunt Esther because that stuff's expensive. You got to go to your single aunt. Like she was like, it was just cracking me up. So
Yeah,
stuff like that on TikTok cracks me up. And,
yeah,
and so sometimes I'll watch some of that, but I find if I get into TikTok, I will waste way too much time watching short
yeah,
videos.
yeah.
So
That
yeah.
is a hazard. I was doing okay with TikTok because I had a whole bunch of stuff in, like, the draft folder, so then I just push it out and push it out and push it out. So
Yeah.
I, basically batch record different stuff.
Yeah.
And then TikTok had this problem where I try to, like, put that video out and it would lose it. Or I'm like, "Oh, come on now, I just did a," and then I get frustrated and then I'm like, "No." For 2 weeks, I'm like, "TikTok, you suck."
Yeah.
Because I'm like, "I just did all this work and then no, it's gone." And I get mad.
Yeah. Have you used repurpose.io?
I have not.
Hold on. I just tried to type it and then my keyboard pulled a fast one. .oats.io.
Okay.
So repurpose.io will scan your YouTube,
Yeah.
and then you can make shorts and push them out on TikTok, Instagram, Facebook. You can link all your accounts. There is a
Yeah.
fee for that
Yep.
service, but I think they have a free level as well. And
I have one that I use like that. It's a different place, but yeah.
okay, yeah, I really liked that one. But what it does for TikTok is puts it in your draft folder because you have to
Oh,
actually
really?
go in and publish
Okay.
physically on TikTok.
Okay. Yeah.
Like there's no scheduling on TikTok,
Right. Yeah.
which I think is they want that. They want you
Yes.
there. Yeah.
Yeah. And there are a lot of people who use, I mean, it used to be a way bigger thing, I think, or maybe it was for me,
Yeah.
people would schedule everything to all the platforms. And then, but if you got really used to using a scheduler, it was almost like the platforms knew you were using a scheduler and they'd almost, you make those posts not go as far because they want you on the platform, so
Yeah.
it's hard to play that game of trying to make your stuff go somewhere, but then being like, I can't spend all my time on,
On whatever.
on whatever. Yeah.
Yeah.
Because there's chickens to feed and gardens to plant and all the things.
Apparently I have eggs to incubate
Do
because
you?
my ducks hatched 2 ducklings.
Yeah.
And the problem is I have khaki Campbells and Muscovies, and Muscovy
Uh-huh.
eggs, I believe, take longer to
Oh,
hatch.
yeah. Yep.
So they had 2 perfectly fine ducklings, and I just sort of let it happen. Figured they'd eventually take them out and feed them and water them, and ducklings died. And I think they died because
Oh.
moms didn't take them out and water them because they were still setting on the
Oh.
rest of the eggs.
Oh my gosh.
So we have reset that situation, and now I'm collecting eggs for incubating. But
Nice.
like the whole thing is we want those Muscovies raising the ducklings. So
Yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah.
It was,
It's
but there was definitely 2 Khaki Campbell babies that we had.
okay.
Yeah.
And we had the ducks last year, and they're supposed to, well, I say Muscovies, but they're supposed to be such great moms and such hatch out, all these great babies. And that was not our experience last year.
Yeah.
So this year we're going to attempt to incubate the eggs and hopefully give them back to,
Like trick them.
trick them maybe. Cause I love those ducks. I mean, they're like
Yeah.
little dogs. They have such great personalities and so much meat, but I don't know. As of yet, we haven't had super huge success with them, but
Yeah, they
we'll see.
hatched out Muscovy ducks for us last year, and the rats
Okay.
got the ducks. So that's my
Okay.
other
Yeah.
issue is there's
Yeah.
like little animals like that
Right.
get predatorated.
Yes. Yes.
Yeah, Autumn says I always keep water and feed close to the mamas. I should have brought water in when the ducklings were what the thing is, Muscovies are kind of badass assholes when they're
Yeah.
broody, right?
Oh yeah.
So
I saw a TikTok, I think, of you.
yeah, I was like,
Was it-
"Hey, you're not gonna mess with that." So, but I would like it's like you want to take the little ducklings and be like,
Yes.
"This is where you get water," and then you can go
Go
back under
eat.
mom.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Right.
yeah. So
Yeah.
if they set another clutch of eggs, then I think we may. I had talked to Tactical and I said, "Do we want to just wall them in and give them food and water
Sure.
and keep it all separate?" And he didn't think that would be possible,
Mm.
and I didn't have time to mess with it.
Yeah.
So yeah,
Yeah. That happens.
yeah,
That is life on the homestead.
yeah.
Yes. We just hatched out little baby chicks from our incubator. We do homemade incubators here that we build out of like old coolers.
Yeah,
So
I saw your series on that. That's
yeah,
cool.
so I'm still working through editing the big giant video of how to actually build it, which is just this beast of a video. It's so much video to put together, but I'm working through it. So then there
Yeah.
will be the how-to of that. But yeah, it was super fun. We went and borrowed some eggs from the hens, in the middle of freezing and not freezing, and got them in the incubator and hatched out 10 little baby chicks and used a heat plate for the first time. Have you ever used a chick heat plate?
No.
Yeah. So we always use heat lamps,
Yeah.
but this year, because we knew that when they hatched, we were going to have them in my office for like 3 days because we had an issue in our barn.
Yeah.
And so we decided to try this heat plate thing and had them in my office in like a big giant tote, and it worked pretty well. Then we moved them outside. So when you have the heat plate and a little brooder, there's not a whole lot of room. There's
Yeah.
not a lot of room around the outside when you're using like a Rubbermaid tote like we normally do. And one of them got stuck
Oh no.
between the wall and the heat plate, and he died.
Yeah.
So then I immediately took them out of that brooder and put them in a much bigger area. And I was like, now they have all this room. But yeah, I'm so used to using heat lamps, and we've never had issues with heat lamps. I know there's a big thing about heat
Fire.
lamps aren't safe and they're going to burn your barn down, which happens, but we've used them for, I mean, I think if you secure them correctly and you're just, careful, and I don't know. I still think I like heat lamps better, but
Yeah, I have used heat lamps for 15 years with no
Yeah.
problems.
yeah.
The only
Yeah.
problem I've ever had is when a bulb goes out.
Yes.
But I can see, especially if you abuse them, how they could be problematic.
Yeah.
And this year I learned that there are, in fact, I may see if I can pull them up. You can buy ceramic elements
That's what I've heard.
instead of bulbs. And so I just actually ordered my first ones because I have baby chicks in the brooder and I have like an actual brooder
Yeah.
with heat.
Yeah.
And they go there for 2 weeks and then they got to get out because they outgrow it. Like the taking out of the poop tray becomes, you
Yes.
can't keep up. So so I was like, well, I'm about to put them under heat lamps again, right? And Ryan Steva actually was like, hey, you can get these ceramic emitters that are way, way less of a risk of fire.
Sure.
Because, they're not the glass isn't gonna break, and then you have like that.
Right.
I think that is the issue. I don't know what else the issue would be. So these are they.
Oh,
ceramic
Cool.
reptile 100-watt heat lamp bulbs. So we'll
Oh,
see.
neat.
And I like literally about to make that is going to be probably task 1 unless we have. And also, I don't have an Amazon affiliate link, guys. So if Amy does, go click on hers and then go here and buy them. But
I love that there's all these options and that they're so easy to find now. You know, isn't that, 20 years ago, we didn't have that option.
yeah.
It's just so cool now.
Well, and so this is an interesting comment. So he's a volunteer fireman.
Okay.
And he says it takes one dirty one chicken to be too close to get it knocked down. So my chickens can't reach the heat lamps. So that may be like I don't have them like way down on the
Right.
chickens. Like they're up higher and the chickens can go further away or closer. So I'm wondering if people like put that like down in the chips and then they're shocked when they have a fire or something.
Yeah, I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't know. I know some people will like clip them to the side of the brooder and then it's not clipped very securely and then it falls.
Yeah, like I hang them. Like I have a whole. Yeah.
Yeah.
A clip-on lamp goes on the side of my tub. And that's when the tub has become the ER.
There you go. There you go.
I actually made the incubator the ER for the one ER situation we had.
Yeah.
And then I had to kill that chicken in the morning.
Oh.
Yeah. That's the other thing. So I've been homesteading for 15 years. 15 years ago, I would have nursed that chicken along the whole time. It would have grown slower and been deformed and eventually died for some other stupid reason.
Yep. Yeah.
And this time I was like, your legs
I see your future and yeah.
I'm going to pull your head off now. And I'm terrible. I'm brutal. I'm just like,
yeah.
So, yeah.
We become so hardened.
Yeah, I was sad about it because I had just spent all night hoping this chick would live. But I was like, yeah, he is going to live. And then he's going to die anyway because there's a reason that this deformity has led to the situation we are in now.
Right.
But it took me like when it happened, I was tired. And I'm like, we'll just throw the chicken there and bring another chicken so he has a friend because they don't like to be alone. Food, water, go to bed. And I get up in the morning and I assess the situation more deeply because I'm awake. Like after you sleep, your brain is like the Etch-a-Sketch has been erased and you have space for things again.
Yes.
And I realized that what I thought was an injury to the leg was actually that the legs were both deformed.
Oh, geez.
And he had gotten through the mesh and cut one leg. And I was like, well, he's always gonna I can do the thing where you make leg braces, but I don't think that's gonna help.
Right.
So,
yeah. I remember many, many, many years ago, before we were even at the farm, we had relatives who thought it would be a really cool project to hatch out some chicks with their kids. And I think they hatched out like 3 or something. And they were not farm people, but somehow they hatched out these chicks.
Yeah.
And one of them was severely deformed. And so they had decided they were going to try and save it. And then they couldn't save it. And so they called me and they're like, what do we do with this chick? And do you want it? And I'm like, that chick is not going to live more than like 3 more days. What are you doing? Like you're extending your own grief. I understand like wanting, to do what you can. But, at some point it's just, I can see your future. I know where this is going, and that sucks, but.
Yeah, I nursed a scissor beak one.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
And there's pictures of him like sitting on my shoulder while I work. And he ended up being a really good friend, but he totally got gotten by a hawk one day.
Yeah.
But he was he could not have layer pellet. He had to have layer crumble.
Oh, sure.
And he was a boy.
Yeah.
And all the other chickens didn't like him because he had scissor beak.
They didn't like him because he was your special friend, Nicole.
He was my special
He got the
friend.
special treatment. He was like, we don't like you now.
That was probably the last one I rehabbed from a situation like that. And I really, that was actually a pet by the end of it. But yeah.
It sounds like there's a lot of people in the comments that have had issues with
fire.
So maybe we've just been lucky.
Yeah, maybe. Yeah. So my prior manager almost burned his past barn down trying to warm baby goats when another animal managed to pull the power cord. Yeah. See, it's always something like that. You got to watch power cords, goats and power cords. Goats eat things. I'll just leave it at that. First time I heard the Spicy Sisters, you talked about things dying on the farm. That nobody ever talks about. So true. I haven't missed a podcast from either of you since. Yeah,
Aw,
things die on the farm.
they do.
I still have a ewe who has not given birth, and the last time she could have possibly been exposed to a ram was 6 months ago.
What in the world?
And apparently 5 months is the gestation period. And then Dawn, who's on here, she was like,
Yeah.
well, sheep don't read books, Nicole. It's gone
This
so
is
long at
true.
this point that I'm like, I am now convinced that the following thing has happened. Floki snuck out one night, came all the way down to my house, 1/10 of a mile away, nailed her, snuck back, and pretended like nothing had happened. That's where we're at. Yeah.
It could be.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah. Or the other thing I have to think about is when we moved Brownie down here, there was like a 45-second, actually it was about a 5-minute period of time where they all ended up in the same paddock together.
Oh, and it don't take long.
It does not take long. And
no.
I need to go look at that date, because if that's the case, then she's nowhere near ready. And
Right.
I have misjudged the size of the udder that has suddenly appeared.
Yes.
Yeah.
They keep you guessing.
Yeah, I know. And I was like, I don't remember seeing Brownie close the deal, but it could have totally happened.
Yeah.
Could have totally happened. So I don't know. But we've been over there. It's like, are you in labor yet?
Right.
Are you in labor yet?
Why aren't you in labor yet?
We have now separated the boy sheep and the dogs from the girl sheep, so you can have this baby in peace. Yeah. No.
Come on.
Yeah.
Oh man.
But I think I prefer the ram snuck out story to all other stories.
I think it's a good one
on this pregnancy. So yeah. This year I used a radiant oil heater, worked great until the plug melted. Oh, wow. thefarmerskindoflife.com. Shout out to all the friends.
Homesteading is a dangerous thing. You know?
It is, and the addition of electricity to it is, it's figgly. It's very figgly. And I'm sitting here after I don't even know how many tens of hours were put into my house in the last 2 months,
right,
related to figgly power here. The way my house was wired, I don't know why it hasn't burned down yet.
Isn't that amazing?
Yeah.
How did this happen?
And here we are, 40 years later, and the house did not burn down. Now, it's mostly made out of cinder blocks, so I wouldn't necessarily have the kind of impressive fire that a stick-built house would have, but I haven't had even hints of fire. So I got lucky. But if you think about that and about how many homesteads are in older homes, there might also be a thing with figgly wiring and lamps is bad.
Sure.
Yeah.
Maybe.
Yeah. And then there's always water nearby.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. Yeah. All the things.
That's the other thing that can happen.
We just so we've had the births on the farm, you know, with the little baby chicks, but we did just have a weird bunch of deaths on our farm.
Uh-oh.
And we still don't know what happened. You know, we always come around to the topic of barn cats on our little talks. Yeah, and we had just all of a sudden we had barn cats that were just dying left and right, and we are not sure if my husband thinks they either got into some poison somewhere.
Yeah.
Or some weird illness went through, but it was just like you'd walk around the farm and there's another dead cat. It was like, what the heck?
What were their symptoms? Were they skinny when they died?
One was really skinny, but I don't think any of the rest of them are. There was one that one of those ones where you're like, I know you're going to be dead by morning. Like you find them and you're like, there's nothing I can do. I'm preparing for the fact that I will come out to do chores in the morning and you're probably going to be dead.
Yeah.
And, so the next morning he was not anywhere to be found. And so I was walking the farm looking for him. And that's when I found all these other I was like, what in the world? And so we're checking them over thinking, did they get in a fight? Did they get hit by a car? Have no idea. It went through fast and furious and now it's gone. So I don't know.
You may have had a kitty influenza situation.
Maybe.
Yeah.
I don't know. It was very strange. So
Yeah, or poison. Poison is also possible, but
Sure.
yeah, somebody's trying
I
to give
don't
you more. Hey, Amy, do you want more cats?
No. Oh my gosh, no. No, no, because there's probably pregnant cats here somewhere. That was the thing, when these cats were dying, we were like, "Why isn't all the ones that we have fixed?"
Oh, really?
I'm like, not that I want any of my barn cats dying, but I was like, all the ones we spent money on, the ones that like, what the heck?
That's
Come on,
interesting. Are they
come
vaccinated?
on. Mm-mm,
No.
no.
Okay. I was gonna say maybe there was something in the fixing of
Yeah,
the cat, but
yeah, I don't know.
do your fixed cats hang out with each other more than
They all hang out together. But
okay,
I
so
mean, these were cats that had been fixed, like, 2 years ago, probably,
mhm,
not
mhm.
so I don't
Weird.
know. It is weird. But I'm sure there will be more. I'm sure I will wake up in the morning someday and someone will drop a beautiful present in my driveway of
Yeah,
baby kitties and then get mad that I don't get them fixed.
yeah. You need that organization that fixes cats for free.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. So Tracy says that happened. This cat's here about 15
Mm,
years ago. Turned out a neighbor was poisoning rats.
mhm. See, now I've heard that rat poison like, cats would have to eat so much rat poison, like, it wouldn't be possible for them to eat enough for it to kill them.
Yeah.
So, I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know.
I don't know.
We're pretty careful with rat poison here,
Yeah.
although we do use it. Um, but yeah, some people intentionally try to poison cats too, which is
Mm,
horrifying.
it is. What the heck?
Yeah.
Ah.
But all my cats have turned in they're not barn cats anymore.
Yeah.
They're 100% house cats now.
Yeah.
Like I'm hearing one snore. He's 15 years old.
Aw.
He's gonna be sick. Actually, he just turned 16 this month. So yeah.
They worked their way in.
Yeah, well, he's the mouser that was the best mouser apparently, and I only know that because he's 16 now and he's stopped mousing so much.
Oh.
And now we have a rodent
And now you're
problem.
like,
And I
"What
was
the
like,
heck?"
I'm pretty sure that cat was single-handedly keeping rodents at bay.
He's supposed to train the younger ones to take over.
No, 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 no. They're like, we were lost in the woods and then we found your house and now we will sleep in your house.
Yes.
We'll eat in your house.
Ugh.
Yeah. Yeah, Jenny said that's why they changed the way antifreeze is made.
Mm,
People poisoning animals with it. Yep.
that makes sense.
I came across more than one cat growing up that had gotten into
Mm,
antifreeze, and that's horrific how they
yeah.
die when that
Yeah.
happens. So
Yeah.
that's a happy topic today. So weird deaths on the homestead.
We just talk about it all, you know?
Yeah.
Money, boundaries, and death.
Money boundaries. I didn't do very well with boundaries because now nobody's ever going to ask me to speak again. But
Oh, they will. They will.
I'm sure.
Hopefully, they understood that little section, you know, where it
Yeah.
comes from and
It's funny. Anybody who's asked me to speak in the last 6 months is now like, was that me?
Nicole was talking about me on the
And the
podcast.
answer is probably wasn't you.
Probably not.
Probably not.
Oh,
There's
jeez.
some other things that have happened. Yeah,
Mhm.
I don't
Mhm.
know. It seems like a resurgence in the last 2 weeks or 3 weeks of I want to start a homestead. How do I get started? Emails. Have you had those like tick up?
I have not.
Interesting. I don't know why it started happening. If it's because Self-Reliance Festival just has been
Maybe.
like sort of that bump or what's going on, but I'm
Yeah.
having a lot of
Mm,
a lot more I'm ready to leave the city. What do I do
mm,
next? Questions lately.
mhm.
So,
So what do you tell people when they say that? Do you have some
uh,
place you direct them? Do you have a podcast? Listen to this podcast
so listen
episode
to
or
my
do you
podcast, obviously. No. I I don't have a single answer. It kind of depends on the situation.
Yeah.
And I try to link them into a network of people near them that are
Mhm,
doing those sorts of things, whether it's a
mhm.
Freedom Cell, an LFTN group, a TSP group, like an event like Exit and Build Land Summits in Texas in 4 weeks. Their entire focus is how do you exit the cities and build
Oh,
your
wow.
life on a homestead.
Yeah. Oh, cool.
And that's if I can, if they're in Texas, I'll be like, hey, there's this event in Texas you could go to. You'll probably meet some people because I think once you start getting out and meeting people, like take that chicken processing class, take a
Yeah.
seed. A friend of mine did a how to start seeds for your garden class in Camden, Tennessee.
Wow.
She sold out.
Really?
Yeah, at like, I don't know, 65, 85, 95 bucks a head. And you go home with like your kit of seeds and like you do it together.
Gosh.
And I'm like, go take that class, even if
Yeah.
you think you probably could figure it out all by yourself, because
Yeah.
you'll meet people there.
Oh, for sure. For sure. Yeah.
And you know, they may not be your lifelong friends, but you might find the one person that helps you sort of get started in the lifestyle. And then
Right.
I think the other thing I usually tell people is you may want to run a homestead or you may want to have a homestead, but you may not. And until you start doing some of these things, you
Yeah.
don't really know.
Yeah.
So, no,
That
Jen
is so
says, tell
true.
them to come to work. I do have the one ticket.
Come to a workshop. That is so interesting because, like, even Erin was just saying that those sell out where she is. It's my downfall, like, my main downfall, I think, with this whole thing is I think everybody knows how to do what I do, and
Yeah.
so it does not
Nope.
occur to me, teach people how to start seeds, teach people how to my husband will always be like, "The stuff that they put on YouTube that explain how to do this," and I'm like, "What? Don't be" that so that's my downfall. I need to, like if I could go back to the very basics of all the stuff I didn't know when I moved here or all the stuff I researched before I moved here, and man, it's just crazy how you get into that 'cause there's everybody has stuff they don't know. Like, I have stuff I'm researching now to learn how to do, and the people that are teaching that are probably like, "How do you not know how to do this?" You know? Like or, like, that's in the back of their head because they know how to do it. We don't realize how much other people don't know how to do that we could teach them, so that's something I really need to get my head around.
Yeah. So Aaron says, who am I to teach something when I still ask a million
That
questions?
too, that
She's
too.
also, but why not? If you know,
Right,
like, if you know one iota more than other people, you can help other people.
right.
I can start seeds, but they fall over. So that to me is light,
Yeah.
Dawn. You need light closer down on them, which on an off-grid homestead may not be as easy. I just use electric lights for that. Yeah, so Erin
Mhm.
did a chicken processing
Yep.
workshop. It was easy. It was awesome,
Yeah,
which
yeah.
is good. Jen's doing it in
That's
June in
awesome.
Oklahoma. All right. You need some guides, Jen? I have some. I sell 10 packs now for people who do classes because it's like
That's
you can do the
awesome.
class, send them home with a nice
Yeah,
booklet,
yeah.
and I think it works great. Yeah, we're doing our annual chicken class in June as well. You just need to be one page ahead of the students.
Oh, y'all, you're just inspiring me to just do all the things.
Amy's gonna go do she's gonna go do a seed class now because they can still start seeds there.
We can. It is seed starting time. I just started my seeds yesterday, so
It's confession time, isn't it?
is it?
Yeah.
Okay.
I told you this offline, but now I'll tell you this online. I'm supposed to be this person who has it together, and I teach people through the My Three Things method how to manage their shit.
Yep.
And I still haven't started my tomatoes, guys. I still
What?
haven't started my tomatoes.
Oh my gosh, Nicole Sauce.
I've had the packet of seeds that Erin sent me out 3 times. I even sent her a picture of like, thanks for sending these to me. Those seeds are still in the packet on my counter.
So now everybody is saying that Nicole is an imposter because
I'm
she
an
talks about
imposter.
all this stuff and she didn't even do it herself. But you know what this says to me, Nicole? It
What?
says you're real. That's what it tells me. Nicole
I've
Sauce is real.
I've reached out to friends and said, "So did you start tomatoes this year?" My other plants are started, but my most important plant, the tomato,
Right.
my favorite thing to grow,
Yeah.
not started.
Not started.
Yeah, Janet's like, I just had to replant. See, I need Janet to send me
There
tomatoes.
you go. You know what? I was gonna say I've heard a lot of people have had to restart this year, so you
The
might not be that
shame.
behind.
Shame. Yeah. There are a couple varieties I've grown for years. One is I call it Siegler striped, and it was going to be its 6th season this year, and it's probably still going to be. And the other one is I call it the 140-year Timmy because I got it from a farmer named Timmy, and he got it from somebody who'd been saving it for 100 years, and he'd had it for about 40 years. He's dead
Oh
now.
my
I have
gosh.
these seeds. And
Yeah.
so my other friend in the county who does gardening things, right, is She also does that one. And last year she didn't start her Timmy's and I gave her Timmy plants. And this year I'm like, that's who I was like, so do you have extra tomatoes? I'm particularly interested in 2 Timmys. And she's like, I didn't start a bunch extra like I always do, Nicole, but I think I can do the 2 Timmys. And I was like, I need the 2 Timmys.
I need the 2 Timmys. Oh
Yeah.
my gosh. Yeah.
So there may be an email going out to people coming to my workshop about tomato plants,
Yeah.
depending on how many. But I'm going to start. So here's my solution, guys. I should have started my tomato plants 4 weeks ago. 2 weeks ago would have been okay. 4 weeks ago would have been better. I'm just going to start them today or tomorrow. Like my homestead days are Friday and Saturday. So tomorrow I'll probably bump that up. But, you know, there's the under over of a baby lamb coming and completely distracting me. So we'll see.
Yeah.
Plus we got to move the chickens. But I
But
mean, the packets are literally sitting on my counter and all I have to do is take
all I have to do.
grow plugs and put them in the little 6-packs because I'm not even needing to do soil for these because I'm going to grow them in the water systems I have.
Mm-hmm.
So it's like literally it's going to take me 10 minutes, Amy. 10 minutes.
But you know what? Then you can do a podcast episode about this experience. And so when people are freaking out that they didn't get their stuff started on time, you can say, hey, there was that one year that I didn't start tomatoes until Amy started tomatoes. But I don't know.
Amy might be in a different zone than I am.
A little bit different. A little bit different.
Yeah. Yeah. So that's my confession. It turns out when you rip your whole house apart and redo all the structural stuff, it's really hard to prioritize the space.
It's
both
really hard
mentally,
to do
emotionally, and the physical space to do things you always do on a schedule every year, like grow tomatoes. And the fact that I got my other seedlings started is a minor miracle. In fact, in the nasturtium, this is the other thing I haven't done, Amy.
What is that?
They're ready to transplant. You know what you do before you just throw those puppies outside?
What?
Harden them off.
This is true.
A week ago, I should have been putting those puppies out in the sun.
Right.
No.
You could be like me the first year that I started seeds and I didn't know you were supposed to
Oh, no, I've done that.
I knew you were supposed to hard them off, but I was like, screw
it.
And then I found out you kind of have to because otherwise you put them in the ground and then they're like, and they all die. And you're like, what happened? I don't know what happened.
I have not hardened off tomatoes and put them out and they did not die. They just got sunburned and looked really sad for about 2 weeks and then they were fine.
See, that wouldn't be the thing here. They wouldn't get sunburned. It'd be like, it's too early. You shouldn't have put me out yet.
Yeah.
Minnesota.
Yeah, it's so today I'm committed somehow at 4 p.m. Here's what's been getting in my way. At 4 p.m. I want to put them out and then it'll get dark and I'll take them in. And then I'm like, I get busy and then it's 6. And I'm like, I forgot again. So if anybody knows me and just wants to send me a text message at about 4 Central today and remind me to put the stupid trays outside, that'd be great.
Perfect. Yeah.
And so I think by a week from now, I'll have the nasturtium out and all like the dill is up this high. I've got, so in the chaos of the building, I have the shelf I grow on and I moved it and there were seeds that were waiting to be planted outside on the shelf above.
Yeah.
And there were squash seeds of an unknown variety in a little ramekin up there and it fell over and I thought I got all the squash seeds. And I found out today when I looked at my seedlings, several of them had fallen where I couldn't see them and now they're this tall.
Oh, perfect.
But it's like, dill and a squash.
It's a new variety. It's companion planting. I am right on the border of 4A and 3B.
Wow. That's so very different. I'm 6'7".
It is very different.
Yeah.
Yes. Do you like the angelic sun that is coming in right here? Let's talk about the weather. Did we talk about this?
No. Weather is the bane of every homesteader's existence all the time.
So,
we both love and hate the weather.
Love and hate.
How's your weather, Amy?
Oh my God. I am sweating like a pig right now. And pigs don't sweat, obviously, but Oh my word. It is almost 80 degrees here right now in Minnesota. And last week we were having the snow and the ice and the wind and the blizzards. And there was so much freaking snow on the ground here. And now it has been 70s, almost 80 for the last 3 days. And the snow is almost completely gone. We didn't have a lot of flooding. We had some in various areas, but you guys, it's
Yeah.
just, yeah. Oh, Nicole's, there's dogs. There's doggos barking.
I was just making sure she wasn't going after the mailman.
They want to add their 2 cents about
Yeah.
this weather is what they want to do.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's to go from that to almost 80. I like, yeah. Aaron in the comments is saying it's 81 here and I'm dying. I feel you. This is hot. But the sun is streaming in and I feel kind of angelic here in this massive sunshine.
It's really hard to live stream when there's sweat dripping down your face. And you know what? Nobody can actually see it on the video. But I know the feeling. I've been there because my bedroom, I cooled it with a window unit.
Yeah.
And before I realized that how I aim the mic makes a difference,
Right.
I would turn it off.
Yeah.
And then I would I remember when Unloose the Goose started in July of whatever year it started in July. July in Tennessee is a little hot. I just remember episode 2, it was literally bleak, bleak, bleak. And I felt like I did not feel good about myself on video. And I'm literally, it's like I'm in a sauna right now.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's rough. That's rough. Yeah.
It's okay.
So our perspective in Tennessee, Amy, is that if it freezes again, we're going to scream.
See, I expect it to freeze again. I expect these temperatures to go back to, I think we're supposed to get maybe in a couple days, we're going to get down to the 40s during the day. So we'll freeze at night. But my God, right now, this is and then what's horrible about it is now that it's gotten so hot, when it gets down to 40, which would be not so horrible and not so out of the question, we're going to be like, oh, it's so cold. Because it's already been, what am I in Tennessee? When I was at your spring workshop last year, I don't remember what the temperature was, but we were like, oh, this is so beautiful. It feels like summer.
Yeah.
Crazy.
Yeah, we've been up to 80 a couple times. We're supposed to go up to 80 this weekend, I think, again. So literally, I'm looking at the soil. I think the soil might be ready for squash seeds.
Yeah.
So,
should we text you and remind you to plant them?
No.
No.
Potatoes.
You need to get the potatoes in.
That's the other 10-minute project today. I really want to get the potatoes in before the rain comes tomorrow. The potatoes I was putting in on March 1st.
Wow.
But they'll grow. They'll grow fine. The only issue is if it gets too hot too fast, the potato vines go.
You should just do that, what you did right now on TikTok. It'll go viral. I'm being the tomato or the potato. Yeah. We don't plant potatoes here till the end of the month, and that's early. So
yeah. First week of March usually does really well with my potatoes, and then I just need enough because we don't really eat potatoes here much.
Yeah.
I need them for Thanksgiving dinner, for when mom visits, and a half bushel does fine for the year.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, that wasn't one for us.
I was like, where are you located?
Flipping that now. Apparently, Justin's going to take that video and put it out there.
Perfect. That'll be great. Awesome.
I don't know. I'm pretty good at killing plants and or torturing them. Tactical has asked me no fewer than 4 times in the last 2 days to come to this one part of my yard where my dog is buried. Mm-hmm. It's very obvious where her grave is because it's all got flower bulbs on it, in the grave. He's like, show me what I can't weed whack over here. And I'm like, well, in addition to Sage's grave, which better be freaking obvious, there's Jerusalem artichokes coming up, and there's some horseradish, and there's 2 blueberry plants, and he's like, yeah, I need you to come show me. I was like, that's why
show me where they are. Yeah.
Okay. Oh. And then I'm like, and I got to roast coffee because I roasted coffee this morning. So yeah.
Mm-hmm.
We're still ice fishing.
Oh, sure. Yeah. We don't plant the main garden until the end of May or beginning of June. So it's just the potatoes and the onions that go in usually the end of April, if we can get them in the ground. And we might actually get them in the ground this year because now the snow's gone.
Yeah.
It'll be wild.
Well, I
Wow.
usually have tomatoes in the system outside my window by the spring workshop. And that's not looking too good 2 weeks from now.
So do you start them in dirt?
No, I start them in the rapid rooter grow plugs,
Okay.
and then I just put them in a net cup and move them out.
Okay.
And the ones I'm going to put in the soil, because I'll put 1 or 2 in the soil. I just put the grow plugs in the soil and they do fine.
Okay.
Yeah, I start by putting it in a pot so they get some rootlets in there, and then I carefully. I mean, they're tomatoes. Tomatoes actually can take a fair amount of abuse on the root systems too, and still come back. And you can just bend them over, and then they root there, like they're rooting machines.
Do you do cucumbers? In your
I
system?
do.
Do you have luck with that?
Depends on the year.
Okay.
So cucumbers don't like the hot a lot here.
Okay.
So I need heat resistant ones, and then I do get pest pressure on those. Okay. But last year I had a great cucumber year. Okay. And so last year I had a really crappy bean year and a pretty good cucumber year and a pretty good squash year. Good squash years are unheard of around here. And then my tomatoes didn't get blight, but I used aspirin with the tomatoes. Mm-hmm. So I don't know if it was, but other farmers also had a pretty good tomato year last year. Nobody had a good bean year last year around here. So now this year I'm expecting two of those things are going to not do well and beans are going to do well. Like it's usually what happens. Yeah. So. Oh, broccoli did great last year. The brassica family did. Brassicas never do well in the spring here, and they did great. Like broccoli, cauliflower, all of it, cabbage.
Isn't that interesting how every year is different? Yeah. And so when you go through your first year of homesteading, you're like, I've got it figured out.
I'm really good with tomatoes.
You're like, what did I do wrong? Nothing. Nothing.
Yep.
Crazy wasp activity. They're not even awake here yet. So I can't answer that question.
Yep. Jen's heading out. Yeah. We've had not like the bee activity hasn't ramped up yet, but I can guarantee you by the first day of my workshop, I'll be like, well, there they are.
Oh, sure.
But the honeybees have moved off my property.
Oh.
Last weekend, Ken came and got them because I'm allergic to honeybee stings. Okay. And I was like, dude, I've got boxes and frames and all this stuff. Like, get them over to your farm because I'm going to get stung again and it's going to be expensive for me. And then, like, just give me whatever honey you think they're worth over the next few years. Because my bees create a lot. And he was happy with that. So, because he's a beekeeper. He likes beekeeping. I'm like, this is the way it should be.
Yeah. Yeah. Right.
Yeah.
Do the things you like and that you're good at and trade with the people who like to do different things.
Different things. Yeah.
Yeah. Yes.
Cool. Well, we're coming on an hour, Amy. Maybe we should, anything else you want to discuss this week? Anything from, our audience did not ask us questions.
They did not. Next time they have to come with questions. That's the rule. Next time, a whole bunch of random questions.
Yep.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Random questions for spicy girls.
Spicy questions for spicy sisters.
Spicy sisters.
Oh, that might get interesting. Maybe mild questions for spicy sisters.
I was on there's this live stream called the Unloose the Goose After Party.
Yes.
With most of the West Coast people.
Yeah.
And I was on it last night while I was cooking dinner and it got spicy the whole time, like in that way.
Oh, I'm sure.
All sorts of double meanings. And I was like, whatever.
Yes.
Whatever. Mm-hmm. Well, guys, thanks for joining. I'm Amy, and you don't know who Nicole Sauce is. I'm Nicole Sauce from the Living Free in Tennessee podcast. That's livingfreeintennessee.com. I also roast delicious coffee to order.
Delicious.
I ship it to Amy.
Yes.
I ship it all over the country. It's all US based because shipping over the border is a real pain in the neck. And that's at hollerroast.com. Amy, tell us your stuff.
I'm Amy, and you can find out all my stuff at afarmishkindoflife.com. I do a podcast. I have a website. I have a YouTube channel. I have a monthly snail mail newsletter that I send out. That is pretty fun. So you can check that out, which is $40 a month for US friends and $50 for out of country. And I'll just say Canadian because that's where all of those
$40 a year, not a month.
Oh, did I say month? Sorry.
Yeah.
Okay. Not a month. That would be crazy.
That would be pretty awesome.
That would be pretty awesome, actually. And then I've written a few books. So, but you can find out all that at my website, afarmishkindoflife.com.
Awesome. And she does mail me that newsletter every month.
I
It's
do.
pretty badass. It's nice to read the little letter. Anyway,
you sip your hollow roast coffee and you read your newsletter. There you go.
exactly. All right. Well, guys, thanks for joining us. We will see you next month.